Our first step is press the tilde key, so the key that has a symbol that looks like a wave, then jump to the bottom orthographic view. So I'm going to hit Shift A, which opens the Add menu. I'm going to go to Mesh, which is the top option, and I'm going to add a plane. Now a plane will just be a flat 2D square. And I'm going to press S to scale this down, just so it is approximately the same height as this center black section of the sole. I'm going to zoom in a little further. I'm going to press G to just move it up slightly. And I want to increase the width of this plane here. So I just need to press S to scale it. Scaling an object automatically scales it proportionally. So we have to press either the X, Y, or Z axis to scale it only in one direction. So by pressing X on the keyboard, I can scale this plane only across the X axis. So I'm basically increasing the width of this plane here. At the moment, we don't have to worry about being perfectly accurate. We just want to get the general idea of the shape. On the top right-hand side of the screen, there is an option to toggle X-ray mode. By activating X-ray mode, we can see through the object that we have made, which allows us to see the reference image and use that as a guide to our modeling. By clicking this drop-down menu on the top right-hand side, we can adjust the opacity of the object in X-ray mode. Now, if we hit Tab to go into edit mode, we want to choose Vertex Select. Inside edit mode, there are 3 different modes of selection. We also want to add some loop cuts to our plane. So if we hold down the space bar, there are a lot of different options that appear. So if you do forget your keyboard shortcuts, it's a really helpful reminder. So we can either select loop cut here, or the shortcut for that is Command R. And by moving the cursor around, we can select where we want to make our loop cut. So we can either make it horizontally or vertically. It may take a while for you to find the option for the horizontal loop cut. And we want to click to confirm that we want to make our loop cut horizontally. Once we've clicked to confirm our loop cut, we get this small menu on the bottom left-hand side. Here we can change the number of cuts that are made. These cuts simply divide up our object. The more cuts we make, we are effectively adding information and we make our model more complex and increase the rendering time. So we want enough cuts to create an accurate shape, but not too many cuts that our rendering time will be majorly increased. For this purpose, I'm just going to choose 5 loop cuts. I'm going to go back to my select box with vertex mode selected. So I can select my first vertex and move it accordingly to trace this shape. So click a vertex and press G to move it. Repeat this process so we trace the shape outlined by the reference image. But don't be too accurate. We want to keep everything simple at this stage. With this very simple outline created, if we hit Tab to go into object mode, we can check the very simple outline of our object. And we want to go to our Modifier Properties tab, which looks like a small spanner or wrench. And we want to add a modifier to this object. So if you click this drop-down list, there are lots of different modifiers in Blender. But for now, if we just concentrate on the subdivision surface modifier, you can see that this has smoothed out our object. If we press Tab to go back into edit mode, I'm going to turn X-ray mode off, just to show you what's happened here. The subdivision modifier has basically smoothed out our object, by decreasing its size inside of vertices that we outlined. So once we've added this modifier, we will need to go back and re-edit this shape accordingly. But before we do that, we want to increase these viewport subdivisions up to 3. That will just increase the smoothness of the object that we can see. And we want the render subdivisions to match that. So change both to 3. By pressing this small icon here that looks like a computer monitor, we can toggle the visibility of that modifier. So if you have no idea what a modifier is doing to your object, you could try and investigate by toggling the visibility on and off. By switching X-ray mode back on, by hitting Tab to enter edit mode, I need to move these vertices one by one to try and trace the outline of the reference image behind. Keep pressing Tab to toggle in and out of object mode and edit mode to clearly check the perimeter of the object. You can move multiple vertices at one time by hitting Shift to select more than one. Remember that it doesn't have to be perfect because not all photographs are perfectly orthographic. I'm going to name this plane that I created. So I've created this first middle section of the sole.